to do a quick recap of everything that we did, just so that you guys have it in your mind exactly what it is that we've achieved so far, so that you'll know what it is you know and what it is that you don't. So, without further ado, guys, we're going to go ahead and get straight into it. Today, we're not going to be learning anything new in terms of theory. What we're actually going to be doing today is just using all the knowledge that we've obtained so far. So, this should be quite fun, guys. We'll be spending most of the day in Notepad++ or on PHP MyAdmin. Alright, so let me just go ahead and open up a blank Notepad++ here, and we're going to start from basically scratch, guys. Only the sort of templating stuff I'll be just copy-pasting because it'll save us a little bit of time. Alright, so let's actually go ahead and start with that. I'm going to just copy some... Actually, do you know what? I'm just going to write it out from scratch because it'll be just nice to go through everything in complete detail one more time. So guys, we're going to be creating HTML documents. We're going to be creating HTML5 documents specifically. So of course, we need our doc type HTML declaration at the top. After that, it's just a basic HTML template. So we've got our HTML element, the head of our document, and then we've got the body of our document as well. So we'll have information in our head, including, but not limited to, the title for our document. So the title for this particular document will be, we'll just say, products. We'll just call it the products page because that's what it's eventually going to be. Now guys, I'm actually saving this file almost instantaneously into the C drive, XAMPP, htdoc subfolder because we're building a development server. We're using our development server even. So I'm just going to create a new one, a new folder saying, let's see, we'll say first dynamic website. That's going to be the name of the folder into which all of our HTML and PHP files are going to go. In fact, guys, even though this will be our index page, it will be our home page, we will be using PHP on this page, guys. So, what I'm going to do is save this as an index.php file because I need to be able to use PHP in this file at some point in the near future. The last thing I need to do, guys, is actually to include a CSS style sheet to my template. So I'm actually just going to copy and paste it here. It's an online style sheet, guys, and any one of you guys is free to use this style sheet. It's just available on the internet for anyone who wants to use it. Now, of course, you have to use it in special ways, and that's the value of Bootstrap, is that it does all the CSS coding for you, but you still need to actually choose what you want to do with your Bootstrap CSS. You'll see exactly the effects of this in a little bit, but for now I just wanted to get the design side out of the way as quickly as possible because we are, of course, focusing on the actual development side of things. Okay, so I've saved this file now, guys, and I know already because I've built this site before that we're actually going to have 3 files in total. So just to save me a little bit of time, I'm actually going to click on File, Save As, and I'm going to save 3 files with this template. This will speed up the process of building this site. It'll just make my life a little bit easier. So we're going to have a final file, of course, the insert.php file. Okay, so now that I've created all 3, I've saved the 3 separate files on my computer, guys. So all I need to do now is just open all of them up on Notepad++. And Notepad++ has a very nice interface, guys. We can switch between different files by using the little tabs at the top. So I'm going to have an index file, and I'm going to have an administrator's page, so that if I want to add new products to my e-commerce site, the first reveal, guys, we're going to build a basic template for an e-commerce site. We can use this admin panel to create it. I know I'm moving fast, guys. There's a lot to cover in this lesson, so that's the reason why I'm going to be talking as much as everything else. What happens if you don't write HTML? Well, to be honest, it might actually still work, but you will be penalized from an SEO and a bunch of other scenarios like that, because the browser might realize that you're creating a HTML document, but this is the correct format, guys. You should be declaring that you're using HTML by opening a HTML document using the HTML elements. Where did I save all my files? I saved all of my files in a subfolder of the htdocs. I called the folder First Dynamic Website, and I saved it inside the htdoc subfolder of XAMPP, because don't forget, we're building PHP files here, so we need them to run through the server. Okay, so that's about that, guys. We have our products, we have our admin panel. I'm just going to rename the title here. And then we have our insert file. Our insert file, guys, isn't actually going to be a HTML file. So I'm actually just going to get rid of the HTML here for this file because it's going to be just a processing file. It doesn't actually need to load up a web page. It just needs to perform a task. So we're just going to leave this insert.php file there. All right, so we're going to work on two things first, guys. We're going to work on the admin and the insert file because it's very similar to what we did in lesson 7. So a lot of it will be very familiar to you. So we're going to start with that, guys, and then we'll move on and we'll do the index file, which will be the last part of this lesson. Of course, guys, there's no point in having an insert file or an admin file until we actually have a database to put it into. So without further ado, guys, we're going to load up our PHP My Admin interface. Of course, to do that, we need to have XAMPP running because it's our development server. As you can see, I've already loaded it up. So we're just going to go and open up a browser window. Okay, so from here, if I want to access the PHP My Admin interface, I can go to localhost, and then I can click on the PHP My Admin button. So I'm going to do that now, and we're going to click on a new button. So we're going to create a new database. In fact, we could use the old database, but you know what? We're just going to create a new one. So let's see. What's going to be the name of our database? Well, it's going to be the e-commerce database. So we're going to call it the e-commerce database. Just to make, we'll just call it the commerce database maybe, because that's just whatever name you feel is proper. Generally, I guess it would be the name of your company or something like that, or the particular function that it serves in your company, but whatever the case may be, guys, you can basically name it anything that you like. As with lesson 7, guys, we will be using UTF-8 Unicode or General CI. This will work for the vast majority of cases. You can actually see I'm highlighting over it. It says Unicode in brackets, multilingual, but it's case insensitive. That means that it won't be able to tell the difference between a capital letter and a small letter when you're searching for things. That's something to do with the advanced course, but there's no need to worry about that for now. Okay, so we've created our basic database, guys, and we're only going to create a single table in here. We are going to be creating a table of products. So the idea, guys, is we're going to be able to store a list of all of our products inside a products table. So I'm going to create a products table. So I'm going to call it the products table, and the number of columns, it's going to have a name, a price, and a description. Just a brief description of what that product is supposed to do. So it's going to have 3 columns, and I'm going to click on the Go button from here. Okay, so we're going to create 3 fields inside our database. And as I've already said, we're going to have the name field. We're also going to have the price field, and we're going to finally have the description field. And that's all we're going to need, guys, for today's lesson. Again, guys, you can really be very specific about what kind of data type you wish to allow in your database table fields, but to keep things nice and simple, guys, I am going to be using varchar for all 3 columns. This just saves me the additional effort of having to put a currency symbol in front of the price and things like that, because if I was to use just a number, well then I'd have to add some actual text in front of it. It just will make my life a little bit easier. And again, guys, this is just a demonstrative website. It's not actually going to be a real live website. We've got a bit more to go before we can achieve that. Alright, and the final thing, guys, I need to do is I need to determine the length of each of these 3 fields. Of course, 50 is pretty fine for our purposes, 50 characters. Hopefully nothing costs more than 50 characters in terms of price at the very least. And the description, do you know what? I might just make that 100 characters just to be on the safe side, because the description might be a couple of sentences long. Okay, so now that I've set up my name, my type, and my length, I'm and ready to actually save this information, and we've created our table in our database. It is worth noting that, guys, once you've built a table, you can still change it and maneuver it. It's not fixed. It's not forced to stay the same forever. Alright, so our database is actually built now, guys. Of course, we still have no way to actually insert or pull information from this database, so that's what we're going to be spending the rest of the class doing. So let's just go ahead and minimize this for now, and we're going to go back and we're actually going to create our admin and our insert and our index.php files. Alright, so guys, a lot of this that I'm about to add is just pure HTML, and we're going to be using some CSS, this style sheet that I've linked to online as well. Now, it will look a little bit complicated, but I'm going to briefly break it down for you, and you'll realize, guys, that it's basically the exact same as what we were doing all the way back in lesson 2, but just used a little bit more intensively. So for now, guys, I'm going to go ahead and copy this navigation bar. So this navigation bar, guys, as you can see, it looks highly complicated. There's a lot of information there. But let me just break it down for you. We have a navigation semantic HTML element here. We've given it a class. In fact, we've given it two classes. We've given it a class of navbar, and we've also given it a class of navbar default. This is, of course, a name that's just been determined by this CSS style sheet. So the purpose of this CSS style sheet, guys, is that it automatically will format all the HTML elements in your document according to the classes that you've given it. So it makes it relatively easy, guys, for us to manage our website. We can just go ahead and use the classes once we've learned them, and then it'll go ahead and build it out for us. Important to note, though, guys, CSS Bootstrap is a framework. And when you're learning how to use a framework, you actually have to spend time specifically learning how that framework works. This is something we'll be working on, of course, in the advanced course. We'll actually be learning Bootstrap specifically, but you have to realize that when you learn a framework, each framework has to be learned separately from other frameworks. There's no cross-information there. Okay, so I'm actually going to put this navigation bar, guys, in both my index file and inside my admin.php. Oops, let me just undo that. That doesn't seem like a smart plan. And what I'm going to do here, sorry guys, just want to make sure that everything is okay. Yeah, it looks like it's fine. What I'm going to do now, guys, is I'm actually going to load up the website, the web application that I'm building on this particular Google Chrome browser, just so that you can see the progress that we've made so far. So we're going to go to localhost / what was it called? Dynamic website was the name of the folder, and then index.php. But of course, because it's index, I don't have to explicitly state it. First dynamic website, was that the name of the folder? First dynamic website? Nope. Okay, let's go ahead and find out what the name of the folder was, guys, because apparently I've completely forgotten, even though we only made the folder like a few minutes ago. Let me just see. Alright, so this is my htdocs folder, guys. Well, here's my htdocs folder, and yeah, it says first dynamic website, and I have my 3 files here. So what is going on? First dynamic website. Did I spell that correctly? First dynamic website. Index.php. Object not found. What is going on? Sorry guys, this is really unusual. I have no idea what happened there. Let's just try going admin.php here to try and get to the admin panel, and apparently not. Does anyone see, guys, what I've spelled? Have I spelled something wrong here? Because I must have spelled something wrong, but I can't see it. Localhost well, let's just have a look. / what is going on, guys? C drive, xnap, htdocs. Do you know what? Let's just try any other page that I've built on the site just to make sure that it's a spelling error. Oops, that is definitely a spelling error, so let's try that again. Yeah, that's working. So let's try localhost first dynamic website. Wow. Okay. Do you know what, guys? I'm just going to I just can't see what's going on. I'm actually just going to copy this information to another folder because clearly I've just made a very strange error. I'm just going to say holidays or holidays. I'm just going to call it the holidays folder. So we're going to say holidays. We're going to put this information in here, and then we're going to open up the holidays folder. Here we go. Don't know what's going on there, guys. I must have made some weird typo that I can't see, so apologies for any confusion, guys. That must have been a little bit weird for you. Okay, so obviously because these are no longer the files I'm editing, I actually have to open the correct folder. So let's just go ahead and open the correct folder. It was the holiday folder, holidays folder even. You can open all these three files, and we're back and we're ready to go again. So apologies for that little delay. But as you can see, guys, the Bootstrap framework is really quite pretty. And I didn't have to do very much work at all. All I had to do was give some HTML elements, some classes, according to the correct specifications. And voila, guys, we have three hyperlinks that look nice and they're part of the navigation bar. Of course, I've already designed it so that they link to the correct pages. I'll show you exactly what I mean by that now. The only actual HTML, guys, that concerns you guys for now, if we ignore all the classes, all the divs, all that matters, guys, is that we have an anchor element here that links to the index.php file with the href attribute. You've seen that before. And we also have an unordered list here. And we've got two anchor elements here linking to the index and the admin.php file. So that's literally all that's involved, guys, in building a navigation bar. And we're good to go from there. There's also the letter S here for some reason. So let's get rid of that and we'll save it. So we've now built our navigation bar for both the index and the admin.php files. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and continue building the the admin.php file just like before, guys. It's the same as what we did in the original class, but I'm going to do it down here below. Now, what I'm going to do is create the form very quickly because we still have a lot to do, but I will be revising with you guys as we go along. So we've got to have a form, and this form is going to have three inputs inside it. And then it's going to have a submission button. So we're going to be able to submit information using this button. So that's just a basic form with three inputs and a button inside it. This is going to be called the Add Product button because this button is going to add a product to our database eventually. Okay, so we're going to give some type attributes to each of these three inputs. They're all going to be of type text because we only need the text data type for the name, the price, and the description as well. Finally, guys, I'm going to give these inputs an ID of whatever they're concerned with and also a name of whatever they're concerned with. The ID attribute is so that I can use a label, and then the name attribute is so that I can actually use that information when it's sent to the other file. Once it's sent to the, once it's sent to my insert.php file, which we'll be building in just a moment. So again, guys, I'm going to copy paste the template for the HTML, and then I can just fill in the values. This is going to be the name of my product. Again, I'm going to just put the name twice here, and then this is going to be the price of my product, and again, the name is price, and then I'm just going to create a description for my product, and again, the name will be description. The reason I've called it the same as the ID is just for my own purposes, guys. It's not technically necessary that the ID and name are the exact same. Final thing I have to do is add a type of submit to this button to make that button actually work. And then also, guys, I have to add labels to each of these three inputs. So let's just go ahead and create a label. So we're going to go ahead and say label, and it's going to have a for attribute so that it's connected to a particular input. This one's going to be for the name attribute. So it's going to be product name. And then I'm going to close the label. And I'm actually going to copy again this and then replace the inner HTML and the for attribute 3 times. This is going to be for price. For price. And then the third one, guys, is going to be for description. And of course, I have to change the inner HTML as well. So this is going to be price, and then the third one will be description. Now I know I did a lot of coding there with no real explanation, but you'll see, guys, it's basically it is the exact same as what we did in the previous class. So let's just check out our admin panel, guys, and as you can see, I've got a product name, an input box, a price, an input box, a description, an input box, and then the add product button. Of course, I haven't yet formatted this form so that it looks good and fits into my new website. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that now, and I'm going to be just wrapping all of the class elements and all of the divs and stuff that I'm going to need in order to apply the CSS from the Bootstrap framework. Again, guys, this is like, we haven't studied Bootstrap, but it's just a quick way to add stuff to a website to make it look good. So I'm going to add div class form group several times. This is going to say div class form group. This is also going to be div class form group. So this tells the Bootstrap framework that each of these is a separate form, a separate piece of information. Of course, if we open a div, we need to close it as well. This might help explain, guys, why we use divs. They're mainly for CSS formatting. So we've got a label, we've got a description, we're going to close the div again, and then finally we have our button, which can sit alone. There's a few more things for us to do, guys. We're going to tabulate all of these out so that it looks a little prettier, and also we're going to give this form we're going to give this button a class of BTN success. Again, more Bootstrap CSS classing, guys. Okay, so that's actually it, I'm pretty sure, in terms of getting our CSS to work. So let's go ahead and save that. And we're going to refresh the page. And nope, it doesn't look like it's done its job very well. So let's go ahead and figure out what we did wrong. Oh, instant realization. If you're going to use Bootstrap, guys, everything that you ever write that uses the Bootstrap framework has to be inside a container class. So I'm going to put a container here, and then everything inside this div is part of a container. So let's go ahead and save this and try that one more time. Okay, so we've improved the situation, but for some reason, guys, we're still not... I forgot one more class, guys. Our inputs have to have a class as well. They have to have a class of form control. So let's go ahead and just copy-paste that information a few times just to save us a little bit of time. Here we go. If I save this and refresh the page, there we go. That's what I was looking for, guys. We've got a full screen input box now, which is much nicer than what we had before. Okay, so all of the work that I've just spent the last sort of 5 minutes doing, guys, is just CSS. Moving forward, I'm going to be ignoring talking about the classing and the CSS and the divs, because again, guys, this is all just using CSS that's already been written for me. So it's really, the same as, it's using the framework of Bootstrap. Okay, so we're finished with that. The last thing I need to do, guys, we need to have the action and the method. So again, we need to send it to a file, and we need to tell it in what way we're sending. We are sending using the post method as before, and the action is to the insert.php file, which will deal with this information on the server side. So I'm going to save this, guys, and I'm actually going to refresh the page and make sure that everything's still working. And now we're finished with our admin panel. It's just an administration panel just for example purposes. We can't try it out just yet, guys, because we have our information input form, we have our database, and we just need to do the missing link now, which is our insert.php file. So we're going to write our insert.php file. It's going to be the last thing we need to write for this to work. Okay. So guys, because this is literally the exact same in terms of how it's done as in the last lesson, I will be copy-pasting this information. One second, guys. Here we go. I will be copy-pasting this information because it is literally the exact same as what we did in lesson 7. We have our arguments to our MySQLi connection function. We have our emergency cancel this whole file if the connection fails. we have our name, price, and description get put into an SQL string, and then we send the SQL string to the database. And that's basically it, guys. It's the same. If you want to go through this file in detail, you should have a look at the recording of the last lesson. Alright, so that's that done, guys. The last thing I need to do, of course, is actually put the correct database name inside the DB name variable. So let's go ahead and find out. Our database is called the Commerce Database. So let's go ahead and create a database called, and enter the Commerce Database name there. So that's it, guys. We filled in the missing link, and now let's go ahead and have a little bit of fun. We're going to test this out and see if it works properly. We're selling wood. The price of wood is, I don't know, $10? Depends on how much wood, right? I guess this is the finest, eco-friendly wood available on the market. Okay, so this is eco-friendly wood, guys. We're going to add the product. Let's see if this works. We made a parse error on line 3. So there must have been a problem with my copy pasting, guys. Yep, there was. I had the PHP opening tag twice. Can't do that, guys. It'll suddenly come across an error. So let's go ahead and just refresh the insert and confirm that I'm submitting the same form again, guys. So this will send the same information a second time. And there we go. It says another error. We've got the product table doesn't exist. Well, that's because I've been copy pasting all day, and this is trying to insert into a table called product when our table name is actually products. So by the way, guys, this is basically how you can troubleshoot on a development server. You can just try and get it to work, follow the errors, and fix the errors as you see them. So I'm going to refresh it one more time, guys, and hopefully this will work this time. There we go. New record created successfully. So let's have a look at the database and make sure that everything is fine on this side of things. And here we go, guys. We've got wood. We've got the symbol for euro, 10, and then we've got the finest eco-friendly wood available on the market as a description. Okay, so we're going to add a couple more, guys. Let's add a couple more products, and then we'll go on to the final portion of building this web page, and that is the index.html page. Let's see. Pumpkins. Okay, so the price of a pumpkin, I actually don't know what the price of a pumpkin is. I'm going to say a $5, and we're going to say great for Halloween celebrations. There we go. Great for Halloween celebrations, and then I'm going to add the products. And there we go, guys. We've got another successful record created. And let's add one more, guys, for now. We're going to say, we're going to have a gorilla for sale on our website. The gorilla, the price is, let's see, hold on. The price, there's a great word that I'd like to use here. Priceless is the price of this gorilla. Description is, magnificent beast. Magnificent creature. There we go, magnificent creature. And we're going to add the products. New record created successfully. Excellent, guys. And if we refresh this page here, hopefully they'll all turn up. And there we go. They're all turning up, which is absolutely brilliant. So now, guys, we know that our information insert is working properly. And the last thing for us to do is to build this products page, which should be displaying our products, but of course it isn't yet because we haven't implemented it. So we're going to go ahead and implement that functionality now. Okay, I'm going to go back now, guys, and I'm going to create this index file because we want to finish off our website before we go ahead and add too many products to our database. But let's see. All right. So we're going to create our index.php. I'm going to add just a little bit more formatting, guys, just to make it look nice and pretty, and you'll see exactly what it's supposed to do here in just a second. We're going to have another container class because, as I said, everything to do with Bootstrap has to be in a container. This div is a container with all the information inside it. Similarly, guys, this div is a container which has all of the information inside of it as well. So this is a class of Jumbotron, and it's going to say product. So what exactly is the Jumbotron class? Well, it's actually a pretty cool class, guys. It makes something that looks like that on your website. So you can have a real nice, very nice, fancy, visible heading on your website, which I think is quite cool. So that's why I'm going to use it today. Okay, so what else can we do after this? Well, now, guys, it starts to be the situation where I need to create the functionality for pulling information from the database and uploading it to this particular index page. Before I do that though, guys, I'm going to quickly show you what a single product is going to look like. And after that, I will go ahead and I'll tell PHP to generate that automatically for me. We'll go through that process in a moment. But for now, guys, I just want to show you what a single thumbnail is going to look like. Again, more Bootstrap, CSS, and all that. But as you can see, guys, it's just using the same information as we had before. Except instead of that and that, we've got our product name and we've got our product price. We'll just say price, yeah. Price. Let's see, is that everything? Yeah, so this is what a single thumbnail is going to look like, guys, on our page. It's actually going to look a little bit nicer than that because it's not going to be outside of a container. It's going to be inside a container, just like everything else in Bootstrap is supposed to be. So, if I save this, I refresh the page, our product is going to look a little bit like that. It's going to have the name of the product, it's going to have a little price, and then it's going to have some fake buttons and a fake image there. This is, of course, just a template for our website. So we're going to hopefully be able to get our PHP to dynamically generate HTML every single time it's required. And this is what the value of using PHP, guys, actually is. Okay, so I'm actually going to get rid of that HTML now, guys, and instead I'm actually going to start writing some PHP. So let's go ahead and open up our PHP, and we're going to finish off this website for today. We're going to go !PHP, and of course I need to close my PHP tag as well because it's not a pure PHP file. So we've got our PHP opening and our PHP closing tags. Don't forget, guys, that if I echo something inside here, I could echo hello here. And if I echoed hello here, and I refresh the page, we get hello actually being printed into the document in that specific position inside our HTML. I can go ahead and extend that further by getting it to actually print the entire set of HTML that I just showed you. But I don't want it to just print out the same piece of HTML. I want it to dynamically pull the information from the database and then put all the information into the correct places inside my thumbnail. So how am I going to do that? Well, the first thing is I need to connect to my database. And again, guys, it's the exact same as what we've been doing before. So again, I'm simply going to copy-paste it, and I'm going to change database name here to, what's the name of our database? Commerce, keep forgetting, guys, Commerce Database. And that's it, guys. We've connected to our database. And now our database connection is ready for us to use to do whatever we like. Of course, guys, before this lesson and last lesson, up until now, we've just been using the insert SQL statement. Now, we need to do something different. We need to use the other SQL command that we learned in lesson 7, but didn't actually use. Can anyone remember what the name of that keyword is, guys? We've got the select keyword, guys. We're going to be selecting information from the database. What information are we selecting? Well, we're selecting the name field. We're also selecting the price field, and we're also selecting the description field. And where are we selecting it from? We're selecting it from the product table. So that's just me. I've just created the SQL string and stored it in a PHP variable. Haven't actually done anything with it yet, guys, but now I actually will. So I'm going to go ahead and say result is equal to, and I'm going to go ahead and actually query my database using that SQL string. Again, guys, this is object-oriented PHP. It'll be part of the advanced course to go into depth as to how that actually works. But to simplify, guys, that's essentially a function that's specifically connected to our connection. We can't call it in any other context. Okay, so we've now got the results, all the results from our question to the database. I want all of the fields from the product table. Oops, again, it's not the product table, it's the products table. So we have all the information from the products table, and then I've stored all of that information inside a results variable inside PHP. Now, guys, what are we going to do with that information? we have that, by the way, this result is an array of information, sort of. Well, no, it's not actually. It's another object, but we can pull information in the form of an array out of it. So we're going to do that. We're going to say if the results number of rows, so basically if there is more than 0 products left inside our table. So if the number of rows inside our results object is greater than 0. That's a pretty obvious question. Basically, if there are any products in our search query. Well then, guys, for as long as this row is our temporary variable, for as long as we still have a result to use, so this is the fetch associated function. Again, more object-oriented programming stuff, but we'll work on it in the advanced course. We've got this row variable now. For the duration of this while statement, that is an array which has all of the information that we're going to need. Final thing, guys, we just have to echo out the HTML, except that instead of just echoing out a static template, this time we're pulling the name, the row, and the price and the description, and we're actually putting into our thumbnail dynamically. So this while loop, guys, that I talked about before, it's like a loop, except that it's used sometimes in special scenarios like this one, where it's more suitable. It's for as long as I still have a result to print out, I will go ahead and print out a new result. So it's pretty cool that way, guys. I'm going to save this now. And the final thing I want to do is make sure that my syntax is correct. So if the results number of rows is greater than 0, otherwise I'm just going to say something like, otherwise I'm going to say something like else, echo, no products to show, that's funny, to show, and that's it. So if there's no products in our table, guys, it'll let us know that there's no products to show, but otherwise it will echo out all of the information that we request from it. So, I think we're done, guys. Well, actually, we're not, because we have to close our connection to the database. So let's go ahead and close our connection to our database, because we're finished using all of that information now. As I mentioned, we always want to close our database once we're finished accessing the information, and it's the same even if you're selecting information, guys, from the database. For loops are brilliant if you know how many times you want to run the loop. Of course, while we're in this PHP file, we don't know how many results there are really. We could write it with the num_rows variable, but we're not going to do that. It's not neat. So instead, we're actually just using the while loop instead. It's simpler, it's more efficient, and additionally, guys, basically, while loops work very well in object-oriented programming. For loops are more for interaction with arrays specifically, which we are not using in the context of this particular scenario. So without further ado, guys, we're going to refresh this page, and hopefully we have some nice results. So if I refresh this page, guys, and voila, we have got our wood, our pumpkins, and our gorilla. We've got $10, we've got $5, and we've got priceless. And unfortunately, there seems to be some sort of a HTML formatting error, which we'll fix in a moment. But this is how it's going to work for us, guys. This means that no matter how many products I add in, it'll automatically find my products and put it inside the thumbnail. Let's just quickly fix that formatting error. Let's find out what's going on. Oh, that's what's going on. We've got price dot like this, and then we're going to dot it. And then we're going to dot it with the row description. Well, we're going to go and create a new paragraph. Here we go. So this should fix our problem. Here we go. So now we've got our price on a different line to our description. So sorry about that. But here you go, guys. This is magnificent. Now let's just give it a quick shot. Let's see if this works for us. Let's add another product to this table. So we've got some dinosaur going on. Price is no, money doesn't exist. Money doesn't exist because that was back in the day when money didn't exist. Description is weighs a lot and has very sharp teeth. And we're going to add the product here. And again, guys, we made a mistake here. So let's see. You have an error in your SQL syntax. What is going on today, guys? Okay, sorry. This is something that we haven't covered yet, but this quotation mark hasn't been what's called escaped, and that can cause errors like what you just saw. So, there we go, we're going to remove the quotation mark. Escaping characters is obviously very important from a security perspective and also to prevent errors like what you just saw. I'm just going to go ahead and say 4-leaf clover. The price is 0.05 cents, and because, you know, they should really be free. Whoops. It's like your lucky charm. And then we're going to save this by adding the product. And there we go. New record created successfully, guys. Okay, let's get one more here, guys. Alien spacecraft. The price is definitely worth infinity. And the description is Kulakalaka. Okay, that seems fine. Kulalaka. And we got a new record created successfully. Okay, so let's go back to our homepage, guys, and we'll see what's happened. So as you can see, I've got 4 products here, but look, if I scroll down, guys, we've got this information on a new line as well. This is, of course, the value of building your CSS well, which Bootstrap does automatically for me, which is really cool, but you can actually go ahead and extend that even further by actually bring that and stop it from being a full screen. If I make it smaller, like this, it will automatically move all my products onto smaller lines for me. So this is pretty cool, don't you think? I think this is cool. This is responsive design, guys, for mobile app development. If you're interested in how that actually works, I recommend the web design course, and also the mobile app development course covers it as well. But that is good CSS responsive design. But anyway, just thought you might like to see what that looks like. The Gorilla box is smaller because the description is only 1 line. We haven't put anything into place yet to make that evenly spaced no matter what. That's something that you can do if you're trying to build an actual website. For now, this is just a sample page. It's not fully complete. Okay, guys, congratulations. You've actually built your first website, or you've actually, you now have the ability to build your own website. But let's just go ahead and do a quick recap, guys, before we go on to the details. Guys, in week 1, we laid the groundwork. We had a look at the whole stack, and then we had a look at the basics of HTML and CSS. In week 2, we had a look at the fundamentals of JavaScript, that dynamic functionality that you want. With JavaScript, you can start using it after lesson 3, and then we did lesson 4, which was the server side of things, information about how it actually all fits together. Pretty interesting stuff, guys. And of course, we talked about hosting services as well, which is if you want to outsource the maintenance of your server. Week 3, guys, we focused on the programming side of things. So we were looking at control systems, and then we were also looking at PHP, which is the back-end coding language that we were using in this course. And then finally, guys, in week 4, we looked at the final piece of the puzzle, which was databases, and then we looked at how they could all fit together to create a dynamic web application. So, guys, congratulations to every single one of you guys who's listening to this right now. Thumbs up. This is especially from me to you guys. You have successfully started your journey as a web developer. This is a really great step forward, guys. Most people will never do 4 weeks of learning about web development, so you've done a great job as well. All right, guys. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, and